going to switch this up a little bit, bending the right leg, bending the left leg. Leaning back towards the heels. We're going to take that right leg and bring it forward. We're starting from a lifted position, elongating the spine, lifting up nice and tall before leaning forward. And if you want to leave the leaning forward out, it's perfectly fine. You can always get a deep stretch just in the initial position of hitting the front. And placing the hands on the floor, bringing the feet together in our plank for just a moment. Core muscles engaged, making sure you relax the shoulder back. We're trying to stay in a straight line for just a couple seconds. Lifting the hips up, leaning back towards the heels. Bending the right knee, bending the left knee. And this time bringing the left leg up below the chest, lifting up nice and tall, and if you choose to, lean forward. Placing the hands on the floor, bringing the feet together into plank. Core muscles are engaged for this. Lifting the hips up. Going back to downward dog for just a couple seconds, bending the knees back and forth. And we're going to plant the knees down on the floor, backing the hands up. So we're lining up our wrists with our shoulders, lining up our knees with our hips. We are going to curl our toes under, and we are going to check in with the posture and make sure we're in a neutral position. We're trying to keep our back flat into tabletop, which is a neutral position for the back. And we're going to do some exercises with cat-cows in between. We're going to start by engaging our core muscles, and we're going to lift up our right hand and make a fist and lower it to the floor. Lift up our left hand and make a fist and lower it to the floor. Core muscles are engaged. We're going to do an exercise with our legs, so we're going to give our hands a break. We're going to lift up our right leg. We're trying to keep our core muscles engaged so we're not swaying back and forth as we do this. And lowering up and lifting up. I think this exercise is called fire hydrant, if I remember correctly. We're trying to stay nice and engaged here as we shift the leg. And as we do this, we're going to transition, adding our hands to this exercise. So I'm going to lift up my left leg and lift my right fist, the diagonal opposite of each other. So I have my right leg and my left fist, engaging those core muscles, staying in place. We're just going at a nice slow pace, holding this for a couple seconds. And switching sides. It's perfectly fine to go at your own pace. We're going to do one more on each side. This is a good balance exercise as well as core strengthening. And we're going to get ourselves back into tabletop position. Stretch out the wrists, roll the right wrist if you need to. Roll the left wrist if you need to. We're going to do some cat-cows here, so we can round the back, drop the head. Lifting the head, arching the back. Getting a nice stretch of belly muscles, going back and forth at your own pace. And we are going to go back into our tabletop position, and we are going to do an exercise in the same position. We still want to make sure we have our alignment, our knees and hips are lined up, our hands and shoulders are lined up. We're going to push our palms towards our knees as our core muscles are engaged. Core muscles engaged and relaxed. One more time. Core muscles engaged, palms pushing towards the knees. And lean back into child's pose. Lifting up again. Going back to our tabletop position. We're going to do a couple more cat-cows. This time, as we do our cat-cows, instead of arching from our lower back, we're going to try to keep our lower back flat and use the upper back muscles to push forward with the muscles between the shoulder blades as we lift the head. And then dropping the head down, rounding back. Lifting the head up, starting in that flat tabletop and pushing forward with the muscles between the shoulder blades. You want to make sure the shoulders are not hunched up towards the ears, the shoulders are back. And dropping the head down, rounding. Going at your own pace. Finishing up your last one. Lean back towards the heels in child's pose again. And we're going to take that right hand and slide it underneath the left armpit area, leaning into the right shoulder, adjusting higher or lower as needed. And bring the hands back to the center in child's pose for just a couple seconds. We're going to take the left hand and slide it underneath the right armpit, and we're going to do that same exercise. And back to the center, stretching out in child's pose for just a couple seconds. We're going to lift ourselves up into a push-up position. We're going to do the easy part of the push-up going down. I am going to back up just a tiny bit though, so that I stay in front of the camera. And we're going to go down to the floor. It seems like we're going to relax here, but actually we're going to do our Sukela technique. So we are going to rest our head on our hands, and we're going to think about the muscles that are in contact with the floor. So our quads, are going to be working, but also muscles back here like our glutes and our hamstrings will also be working. So we're going to contract those muscles and relax those muscles. Contracting and relaxing. We're going to feel those muscles resisting on the floor, against the floor. We're just going at a nice slow pace, contracting and relaxing those muscles. As a result of the movements that we're doing, our skeleton is going to move because of the work that our muscles are doing. So we're going to resist and relax. If you can, try going a little faster. Contract, relax, contract, relax. When we make moves faster in belly dance, we have to make them a little smaller. So it's fine, these are smaller than the first contractions that we're doing. We're going to bring our awareness to our right side, and we're going to contract the right side and relax. Contract, relax. And the left side, we're going to contract and relax. Contract and relax. Now you can do this completely flat. I've also curled the toes of my foot under so you can see it a little bit more, but really either way works. So here it is flat for me. Now I'm going to move on to alternating. I'm going to contract the right side and relax. Contract the left side. Relax. Right, left. Right, left. If you can, try making this a little bit smaller, a little bit faster. This would be practice for a shimmy. And as we do this, and as we improve on the floor, we can eventually take this to standing, and it's easier to do standing up as we've done the practice. And I am going to have us roll over onto our backs, and we're going to transition to some other exercises. So here I am in tabletop again, but it's a different tabletop with my knees bent at a 90-degree angle. And I am going to grab behind the right knee, extend the left leg. I'm going to resist the knee against the hands. I'm trying to pull away from the body. As I do this, my core muscles are engaged. My lower back is pressing down into the floor. I'm trying to keep that chin tucked down so I reduce strain to the neck. I'm resisting, and I'm going to grab the other side. Again, I'm resisting, core muscles are engaged, chin is tucked down. I'm pressing those belly muscles down into the lower back. Keep it flat, and releasing the left rather than right. And release. 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 And bringing my hands out of the way, turning this into a bicycle exercise. As I do so, I'm still pushing down with the muscles in my core. I'm keeping that lower back flat. Chin is tucked down. I'm going to relax the head and shoulders. Lift the feet up. I'm going to grab onto the right foot, bring it towards myself. For extra core strength, I'm going to lift up, keep the chin tucked down. If you need to do this, with your back flat, you always can, but this will give you extra core strength. So I'm getting a little stretch here, and I'm going to release this leg and grab onto the left. Get a little stretch. And release. Going back and forth at your own pace, getting a little stretch in there. One more on each side. And release. I'm going to bring both feet up towards the ceiling. I'm going to do a little ankle stretch. Roll the right ankle in a circle, left ankle in a circle, opposite direction. And one more time with that stretch, stretching towards the chest, bring the chest up, chin tuck down. And I'm going to do one more stretch on the left side, and I'm going to scissor kick the air, bringing my hands out of the way. Core muscles stay engaged, chin tuck down. And bring the knees back to the tabletop, relaxing head and shoulders, and bringing the knees to the chest, gently rocking back and forth, loosening up the head here. Bringing the knees back into tabletop, I'm going to cross the right leg over the left, reaching behind the left knee, resisting the ankle against the knee. As I'm pushing against the knee with the ankle, I'm trying to bring the ankle towards the chest. Resisting, core muscles engaged. Remembering to breathe and relax. Again, lifting up. Resisting, trying to bring that knee 1 inch closer. And relaxing.
Not without a moon in the spirit.
Lifting up. Bring the knee as close to the chest as you comfortably can. Relaxing, uncrossing the legs. We're starting off in tabletop again, crossing the left leg over the right, bringing that right leg towards the chest, core muscles engaged. Resisting the ankle against the knee, thinking about the muscles in the legs that are being used. And relaxing. Again, lifting up, core muscles engaged, chin tucked down, remembering to breathe, trying to bring that knee 1 inch closer to the chest. And relaxing. Again, core muscles engaged. Resisting, trying to bring that knee as close to the chest as you comfortably can. And releasing, uncrossing the legs. We're going to bring our legs down to the floor for a minute. And we're going to do a couple bridges. And when we are doing bridges, if I'm just laying down against the floor, I might have a little bit of space between my back and the floor. And I want to tilt my hips to flatten my back. I'm going to engage my core muscles. I'm going to engage my glutes, and I'm going to lift my hips up off the floor, trying to make a straight line with my body. I'm going to stay here for a couple seconds, and then I will lower my body to the floor. So I'm here, I'm going to slowly roll down, vertebrae by vertebrae, until my hips are on the floor again. And I'm going to start off with that glute core strengthening down, engaging the core muscles, making sure my lower back is flat. I have to make sure my hips are tilted a little bit to make sure that back is flat. Engage the core, engage the glutes. And when I'm lifting up off the floor, making sure my body is in a straight line, core muscles are engaged. And slowly rolling back down. Now, if this is challenging for you, or this is enough, you can just do a couple more bridges. If you want to add to this time when we still start in the same posture, we're tilting our pelvis, engaging our core muscles, engaging our glutes. This time, when we lift up, we're going to have to make sure our hands are down, and we can lift up the right ankle and lower it to the floor and lift up the left. If this is challenging enough for you, you might say, okay, you want to try this, and then you have to check in with the hips, make sure they're still lifted up. If you want to try something even more challenging, you can lift up that right leg and set it down, lift up the left leg and set it down. So there's different levels you can add to this. Or you can just stay in place and slowly roll down stay here in place, or you could lift up your toes, you could lift up just your ankles, or you could lift up your whole foot an inch or two off the floor. As you do this, you try to stay in place and stay centered and grounded, even if you are lifting a leg off the floor. We don't want to be rocking back and forth as we lift up the legs. And slowly rolling back down. We're going to do one more. Tilting the pelvis, engaging the glutes, engaging the belly muscles, lifting up the hips. And you can choose if you would like to stay here as is, or you can add complexity to this. So there's a little bit of multitasking, and it's adding a little bit more core strength. And slowly rolling back down, bringing our knees up to our chest, gently rocking back and forth. And I'm going to have us roll over and sit up. We're going to do a couple more stretches and also our supila technique while we're sitting. Getting all my layers situated. So I'm started with my legs spread out and I'm stretching up nice and tall, elongating vertebrae before leaning forward. And just going down as far as is comfortable for you. You want to stretch the muscles, not strain the muscles. And we're going to stretch up nice and tall again, turning to the side, lowering ourselves towards that foot. Lifting up nice and tall, turning to the other side. And we're going to bring our hands behind us. I'm going to lean back just a little bit. So I'm not leaning forward. I have a slight restful pose, leaning back. And as I do this, I want us to be aware of the muscles in our legs that are in contact with the floor. And we are going to do that same contraction we were doing earlier, the supila technique. We're contracting the glutes, the quads, hamstrings, lots of muscles in the legs, and relaxing. Contracting and relaxing. And as a result of what our muscles are doing, our body is going to resist against the floor. We are going to move a little bit. It's going to shift our pelvis. Just going at your own pace, relaxing, contracting. And if you can, try making this a little smaller, a little faster, and that starts to become more of the practice we would do for the shin. And we're going to relax the muscles, bring our awareness to our right side, contract the right side, and relax. So we're starting off at a nice slow pace, just really focusing on these muscles. And the left side, contract, relax. Contract, relax. And we're going to alternate right side contract and relax. Left side contract and relax. And we're going to go a little smaller, a little faster. Contract, relax, contract, relax, contract, relax. We're still alternating. And if you can, try making it even smaller, even faster. Imagine you are wearing coins and the Eugene. And we're going to relax some of those muscles, lifting up nice and tall again. Bringing one arm under and one over. Getting a little stretch in your side. And the other direction. Bringing one arm over and one under, getting a little stretch inside. Stretching up nice and tall, moving forward. Bringing our feet together. We're starting off flexed. Lifting up nice and tall. We're going to keep our back straight, core muscles engaged. So we're probably not going to be able to go very far if our back is straight. And you're going to feel a stretch in your legs as you do this. We're going to point our toes around the back. We're going to change that stretch a little bit. It will change where we feel the stretch in our legs, but also in our back. And lifting up, we're going to cross our legs, stretch out nice and tall, and we're going to place our hands on our opposite knee. Do a gentle waist stretch. And you're going to go the opposite direction. Bringing the opposite hands on the opposite knee, twisting the waist. Coming back to the center, leaning forward. And while we're here on the floor, I'm going to have us practice some of our shoulder exercises and our lifts and drops. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of a rib slide. So I'm just sliding my ribs from side to side. My hands are on my knees for extra stability. If I was standing up, my hands would probably be on my hips. So I'm just sliding back and forth, loosening up the ribs, lifting up from the center and dropping down. When I'm lifting, a lot of this move is coming from the back muscles, the upper back muscles, and when I'm dropping, a lot of the move is coming from the diaphragm. So I'm lifting and dropping. Rib slides again. As I do this, I'm trying to keep my shoulders back and keeping them still. I don't want to be hunched forward, and I want to make sure the shoulders stay back. And really, I am engaging my core muscles here. Everything I do in belly dance, I'm usually in that good posture if I'm standing and I'm engaging core muscles. I'm going to turn this into squares. I'm going to go to the side, up, side, down, side, up, side, down. And turning this into circles. Opposite direction circles starting on the left. As I do this, I'm trying to keep my shoulders back the whole time. In belly dance, we have good posture and our core muscles stay engaged, our back or our shoulders stay back. If I was doing a break dance style, my shoulders would get involved and there would be a lot bigger movement. So this is fairly small compared to hip hop and break dance. I'm going to turn this into squares going to the side, lifting up, side, and down, side, up, side, down. And doing some shoulder rolls here. And rolling the opposite direction. Getting a little shoulder stretch. Make sure you're getting in water breaks as we're doing the exercises. our belly work. And usually we're standing up when we do our belly roll work, but I want us to practice on the floor. And the reason why is that if we are laying down on the floor and our lower back is flat, we do have the feedback of the floor against our back to tell us if we are rolling down against the floor little by little, or if our hips are getting down to the floor before our lower back. So this is good practice for belly dance. It's going to help us with our undulations and belly rolls, and we can practice the belly rolls on the floor. So I'm going to have us lay back on the floor again. We are going to start off in that tabletop position. If you need a quick drink of water, get a drink of water before we start with this exercise. And speaking of water, I'm going to get some water. So I'm going to have a start on the floor, and I started in tabletop, and I'm going to bring my feet down to the floor like I would if I was doing the bridges. And this is going to be a little bit like a bridge. So earlier when we were practicing and we were doing some bridges on the floor, if we were doing this as undulations, it would be our shoulders would be up off the floor. But I'm going to have us practice just a little bit of that rolling onto the floor, rolling onto the floor, and then using our belly muscles to do some belly work. So first what I'm going to do, I'm going to practice keeping my pelvis tilted, my core muscles are engaged, and I'm going to lift up my pelvis off the floor, just a little bit right here, just the pelvis, and I'm going to lift a little bit more off the floor, so it's a little bit more of the back, the middle, maybe the lower part of the back. I'm going to lift up a little more in the middle of the back, and I'm going to lift up even more. So it's not the shoulders, it's not completely the upper back, but it is around the shoulder blade area, and I'm going to slowly roll down again, getting the middle of that, the very small of that, and very last, the hips. And then I'm relaxing down again. I'm going to start again, core muscles engaged, tilting the pelvis so my lower back is flat, slowly rolling myself up off the floor, getting the hips up first, the small of the back, the middle of the back, as much as I can of my upper back, and slowly rolling down again, vertebrae by vertebrae. We want our pelvis to go onto the floor very last. So when we start doing undulations, this is really good practice. Sometimes we practice against the wall so that we have that feedback of the wall, and we can feel whether our back is rolling up and rolling down. Right now, I'm just going back and forth, practicing rolling down against the floor, vertebrae by vertebrae. The hips come down last, relaxing the hips, relaxing the pelvis, and core muscles engaged, tilting the pelvis again, slowly rolling up. I'm going to give us one more, and you can practice at your own pace. And relaxing. I'm going to bring my hips up to my chest, or my knees up to the chest, and just gently rocking back and forth for a moment, loosening up the hips. Bringing the feet back down. So now we're going to practice using those belly muscles, and I'm going to engage my core muscles. I'm going to tilt my pelvis so my lower back is flat. I'm going to do some belly work here, and I'm going to practice an outward movement, but I'm going to keep one hand on my upper belly and one hand on my lower belly so you can feel what's happening. And I'm going to push out with my belly. As I do this, I'm still going to try to keep my lower back flat. And that's a challenge because our back wants to pop off the floor as we stop engaging, stop pushing down. And this is going to be good practice for our belly rolls. So we're practicing pushing up. We are using our upper belly and our lower belly equally. And now I want us to check in with our hips, make sure our lower back is flat, and we're going to practice pulling in and relaxing, pulling in and relaxing. As we do this the whole time, we're trying to keep that lower back flat. And now we're going to start breaking the belly into the upper half and lower half. Practice isolation. circulation. So we're going to try to keep the lower part of the belly still. As we do this, we're still trying to keep our lower back flat. Our pelvis is tilted slightly to help our lower back stay flat, and we're pushing in with our upper belly muscles. It might just feel like a small contraction. You might not feel a whole lot happening. And it is harder to do this in some ways on the floor, but we are also not using our spine as a crutch for this movement. So really, this is just practicing isolating. It is okay if other muscles move. As you do this, even though I'm practicing engaging and pulling in with my upper muscles, you can see my lower muscles push out a little bit as a result. Now I'm going to practice keeping still with these upper muscles and pull in with the lower belly muscles. As we do this, we're trying to stay flat here. Trying to keep that lower back flat. And as I'm doing this, I'm pulling in, pulling in. You might just, because we're laying flat, we just might feel these muscles engaging a little bit. That's perfectly fine. It is not going to feel exactly the same lying down as when we are standing up. And we're going to give our belly a break, bring our knees back to the chest, gently rocking back and forth. And bringing our knees back to the floor. We're going to practice pushing out with the belly. So we're starting in that good position where our pelvis is tilted, lower back is flat, and we're going to try to push out with our lower belly muscles. So you can keep one hand on the upper belly and lower belly, or the other hand. You can be looking in the mirror. But the idea is I'm practicing keeping that lower back flat as I'm doing this exercise, because it's practice for when I'm standing up. So I'm practicing pushing out with the lower belly. Now I'm going to try to keep that lower belly still and push out with the upper belly. We're trying to stay flat with our lower back, not trying to rely on our spine to make this movement happen. We're trying just with the muscles. And you're going to notice this is way more challenging laying down than standing up, because you have the floor as feedback. It tells you if you are using your spine to make this movement happen. You might just feel a little bit of an engagement in those belly muscles, and that's perfectly fine. It might not feel like you're pushing out in the same way it does as you're standing up. So now we're going to put that movement together. We're going to pull in with the upper belly, pull in with the lower belly, push out with the upper belly, and push out with the lower belly. Pulling in, out, out, and checking in with the posture, making sure our lower back is flat. In, out, out. In, out, out. In, out, out. Trying to keep that lower back flat. This is also an exercise that you can do against a wall. You can be standing up and practice keeping your back flat against the wall as you are pushing out with these muscles and pulling in with these muscles. In, out, out. And we're going to bring our knees back to our chest, gently rocking back and forth, and then we'll do the opposite direction. And bring our knees back to the floor. So instead of starting with ins at the top, we're going to start at the bottom. And again, we want to make sure our lower back is flat, our pelvis is tilted. If my pelvis is not tilted, I have that little hollow in the small of my back, so I want to make sure my pelvis is tilted. And I'm going to start with in, out, out. In, out, out. In, out, out. I'm going to slow that down. In, out, out. In, out, out. in, out, out. In, out, out. Going at your own pace. Remembering to breathe as you do this. Checking in with your lower back muscles. In your lower back, making sure you're flat. Now, if you go to a belly dance show, sometimes you will see belly dancers doing Turkish floor work, and they might actually be laying down, or they would be in a bridge, and they might be doing a belly roll in a bridge or in some interesting position. So if you get good at this on the floor, there are things that you can do with this. I'm going to have us bring our knees back to our chest gently, rocking back and forth. I'm going to have us do a little waist stretch here, and then we are going to move on to some other exercises tonight. I'm going to have us extend our legs downward, bring our arms outward away from ourselves, and we are going to cross or bend that left knee, and we're going to cross that knee over, bringing that knee over towards the floor, trying to keep this shoulder on the floor if you can, and we're getting a stretch in the waist. And coming back to the center, we're going to bend our right knee, bring that right knee across the body, away from the body. We're trying to keep this shoulder on the floor. We're getting a stretch, gentle twist in the back. Only bringing that knee as far as you comfortably can. You don't want to strain the back or twist or contort the back. We're really just getting a gentle stretch.